Hi everybody, welcome to Van Gogh Brushstrokes Art. Last week you got to take a virtual art museum visit to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, and you looked at some paintings that were from the post-impressionist period. Remember that I mentioned in the description that post-impressionism thought more about how a painting would make you feel than it looking accurate and realistic. So I hope that when you looked at some of Van Gogh's paintings, you did get feelings from them in how he portrayed his subject matter. So today I thought we would make a painting in the style of Van Gogh, experimenting with trying to replicate his brushstrokes in his paintings. We're going to work on our regular sized paper, about 9 by 12, or paper that is in your printer. I made a piece that is a tree at night, and obviously it's fall going into winter. So I thought a good way to emphasize feeling in my artwork would be to have the feeling of the season and the nighttime, so you would know that it's cold and the tree is bare. It might feel a little spooky. And I try to use brush strokes in my artwork to give the feeling of a Van Gogh painting. For this piece, I used oil pastels and watercolor paints. I know not everybody has those things at home, but I just thought it was a good example of showing feeling and mood and trying to use brushstrokes in my artwork. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you 3 ways that you can get a brushstroke look by using crayons, watercolor, or construction paper crayons on a dark paper. If you wanted to not make your own artwork, but you wanted to try and copy one of Van Gogh's artworks, you could do that too. Maybe you wanted to do a play on Starry Night, or do a self-portrait like he did, or a vase of flowers, things like that. If you wanted to keep the subject matter along the lines of his work, or in just making a copy of one of his works, that will fulfill the assignment too. So let's talk about painting with brushstrokes.
Remember that your goal is a full-sized artwork inspired by Van Gogh's brushstrokes. I'm showing my demonstrations on smaller pieces of paper, just so you have choices. The first is on black construction paper with construction paper crayons. You could try colored pencils too. Test them and see what lighter colors would work best. I'm just drawing with long dashed lines to fill up the entire image area. If you have watercolors at home and you want to try that, you can use a brush with a nice point to do the same thing. Long dashed lines, filling up the entire area with brushstrokes like Van Gogh. Remember, you don't need too much water because you're kind of drawing with the paint, not making washes of color. The last thing you could do is a crayon resist. So with crayons, you're still drawing those long dashed lines to fill up the area. Notice I'm using a white crayon here. I'm drawing invisible lines that will show up when I make a wash of watercolor on top. Here I'm just wetting the paper so you'll have a nice wash, and then adding the paint. And remember, the crayons are made of wax, so they resist the water, and your crayon drawing and your paint will both show.
I can't wait to see what kind of paintings you make using Van Gogh brushstrokes and trying to create a mood in your artwork. I hope to see it soon. Thanks a lot.